Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome. It's just the two of us tonight.
It is. Hang on, I'm
Oh,
having
she's a little
tree
banner.
issues.
Yeah, you need to
Say when.
can't work out what angle she likes for the tree.
Like that?
Say when.
Oh,
I mean, I like. Yeah, you need to see the most amount of balls, I think,
it's
and then.
always...
But don't have it behind your head.
No,
You need
I
to be able to
don't.
see it.
I
That's
don't.
perfect. Perfect. No. Oh no, you went too far. No, back
That way?
again. No, back more. No, other way. Other way. Let's. Now I feel invested in you getting this correct. Just stop there. Yeah.
There.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
Right.
So,
Yes. Kat is... Well, she's told us to tell you she's poorly, but she's accidentally locked herself in a sex dungeon. So hopefully she'll be back next week.
these things happen.
They do all the time. So, but just in case she is a bit poorly, poor cat. So
Yeah.
everyone's a bit under the weather, and the
Yes.
weather's awful, and it's just not times.
We live in a place. I keep seeing videos of so our friends who live in the US and Australia especially. I keep seeing videos of your wildlife, and I'm like, get lost. I am going nowhere near that. But we pay for that safety by rubbish, sad-inducing weather. Anyway,
the weather is bloody awful, but we won't get eaten by a spider that's larger than our head.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Actually, yeah, when you put it like that, I'll take the rain, thanks.
Yeah. Shall I? So
yes,
Kat isn't here for the disclaimer. So, Kat, if you are daring to watch, if you're daring to watch this while you're not here, we hope you feel much better much soon. So, but that does mean, everyone, you have me for the disclaimer. So, hello, friends. Welcome to History After Dark. We called it this when we began this many moons ago. I don't actually know when we did start this, but many moons ago, because at this point in the week it's dark because it's in the middle of winter. But that was one reason. But the main reason actually is because it's here that we get to remove the shackles, which, to be fair, we willingly wear on our other channels. But here we just enter into our virtual speakeasy. There's no safety harnesses. Helmets are optional. There's a road, but we have been known to go all terrain, and therefore you may hear the odd point enhancing swear word. You may hear some controversial, unpopular opinions. That's most likely. General loose talk, to be fair, as we explore the messy world of the humans in yesteryear. We may get tired. We may start to show off. At least that's what our mothers often say. So this may not be for you.
No.
If you're a person of sensitive or precious disposition, and if you are, we love you, but save yourself now, move on, and don't allow your ears to be polluted. You probably are someone who likes vanilla, and that's fine. I think we're more a double chocolate with white chocolate chips, maybe some nuts on top, raspberry sauce.
Definitely nuts.
Definitely nuts on, definitely lots of nuts. So we don't want to see comments below which say things like the one that we got this week, which is, you three are such intellectual ladies. I mean, we liked that bit. I'm so disappointed that you feel the need to swear so much. Well, Phyllis, fuck off. So
yeah, no one cares, love.
No one cares. This was actually on a after the disclaimer on one of the videos. But anyway.
No, the best bit was, though, she cut in. She actually told us at what point she'd stopped watching because she was that outraged because of the fact that we're trying to be edgy and we're not. But she probably cut off just before the bit where we said, if you're going to come in and tell us, you don't like it because of the swearing, then we're going to think you're a attention whore. And she just cut off, which is such a shame, because if only she'd waited another minute, she'd have been told not to do the thing that she then did.
So if you continue to watch, basically on your own head, be it. If you are staying, you may wish to just consider who you may be unwillingly indoctrinating into the world of had. You may have gathered this isn't suitable for the ears of judgmental bosses, or little Timmys. And Timmy is a problem. We know it, he knows it, you know it. The mugs say it, which means it's true, and available
Yes.
on our merch store. Don't let that little life destroyer get you into trouble at school. Pop in an earphone or watch us on the playback if this gets past the censors, which, to be fair, the censors are us, and our standards are somewhere. Our standards are somewhere in the delectably warm armpits of Hades. None of what you're about to hear constitutes legal, medical, or life advice except for one thing, and that is, if you don't know what it is, don't Google it. This is a piece of advice I have abided by on a number of occasions because, let's be honest, it's usually something Kat or Catherine have said that
Rude.
I don't know what means. I'm very glad that I haven't Googled it. If you do Google it, you may end up on a watch list, and rightly so. So if you're still here, I applaud you for your staying power. Welcome. This is History After Dark. Catherine, what are we up to today?
So today, everybody, and thank you, Philippa, for, because we've always said, like, we can't replace Kat's disclaimer.
No, we would
I thought
never.
that was marvelous.
Thank you.
Marvelous. Right, so today it is the end of the year is almost upon us, ladies and gentlemen, much to everybody's shock and horror. And as you may remember from last year, we had an A to Z, and so we rounded it up at the end of the year. So that is what we are doing with you tonight. We are going through and doing a kind of, when we go through our heroes every 3 or 4 weeks, we would then do a roundup of each and give them a score. So obviously we have done that now for all of the heroes, and we are going to go through those tonight. So you can see who is to be crowned the ultimate hero and who in the end was average at best. I say all of the heroes. As you know, we have had a few special guests on during our Heroes series, and they have brought some of their own heroes to the table. And we've had some brilliant and really fun discussions with all of them. So because they are those heroes and we didn't do the research in the same way and present them in the same way, we haven't included those in our scoring because they weren't ours to score. But we still have, I believe it is 19 select individuals of varying degrees of heroship. That's not a word, is it? Oh, it is now.
Yeah.
And so we have come to share our thoughts with you. If you agree or disagree, well, there's not really much anyone can do about that. You just have to suck it up. But if you have any strong opinions where you agree with us, then please feel free to send them to us on Instagram or via email. If you're really, really angry about it, I'll go back to what we said earlier to that woman that was complaining.
So you will be able to comment underneath this video, just not while we're live, I don't think. So there's no live chat, unfortunately, because that's not something we're able to do now. But yeah, please do share your opinion with us.
Yes.
And while I'm on that, kindly do. I mean, we'll just block you, so it's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not.
Life's too short.
We are tired, and we're showing off. I think
tired and we are
at the moment, all three. I don't know. All three of us are just fucking over things at the moment, aren't we? We're just over it. Our normally not very high tolerance levels have plummeted to new depths.
We're over silliness. We're over. Yeah, we're over silliness. We're concentrating on the cool people and the cool things that we do, and everything else is can get lost. So yeah. Shall I?
Yes.
Shall I bring it up? And shall I first of all? I can't actually remember. Well, I can remember. Shall I? I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to explain how we got the score. So every hero was scored out of 100. So the closer to 100, the more more deserving they were of hero status.
Yes.
And there were various categories. I'm trying to remember what they were. Character was one. So, a score, and we would give each one of me, Catherine and Kat would give them a score out of 10 for that, which gave them a score of 30. So character, their work. So work or contribution, I think we
Mm.
said, to the world. And what was the third category? Oh, how they were with their family and friends. So what kind of person they were like to their family and friends. And so those three categories gave a total score of 90. And then the final 10 points came from the score from the audience, when we could have a live a live comment section, which looked at whether or not they had agency over their legacy. So whether or not they sort of fed into it, or whether it's just something by virtue of the context in life. So if you think about, well, I'll bring up the table, but if you think about someone like Anne of Cleves, is her legacy due to her, or was it due to the fact that she ended up being one of the 6 wives, and actually she sort of ranks as one of the most more interesting ones? So here we end up, with the with the league table. Now, one of the things, the thing we found interesting last year when we did the Gits series, and we'd already decided we were going to score them on how gittish we were, which was just funny. When we started doing it, what we realized was that some of the people who had a reputation for being a git were actually not that much of a git. They weren't as gitty as their reputation had.
Robert Bruce, for example. Yeah, who was that other Scottish bloke? He was all right as well.
William, no, we didn't do William Wallace, did we? Can't remember who we did.
Anyway,
so we thought this year, 2024, that it would be fun to have a look at people whose reputations were of being a hero, and have a look whether we thought whether we assess. I mean, to be fair, we're quite thorough. So if there are any on this list that you are particularly interested in as characters, we have done good in-depth hours and a halves on these people, so you can have a look back through our catalogue. If you look on our YouTube channel, they're all under the live tab. And yeah, so any of these that you want to take a deep dive into, you can. So we've got right up there at the top Edward Jenner, and at the bottom Edward the Confessor, who only made half marks.
Dun dun dun. I mean, he wasn't a bad person. He didn't get a sort of crap score. Score. It wasn't bad.
He wasn't as he wasn't like a Henry VI kind of king who is pious and just wants peace and whatever. He wasn't that, but he got marked down significantly because because of his legacy, because when he died he just fucked up the succession royally.
Royally. I see what you did there.
And we ended up with the French, so
which is lovely.
Which is lovely. Like, I still can't speak a word of it.
Don't. I'm trying. I really am, but it's just not happening.
I think they don't. I have a lazy mouth. I don't pronounce things very. Yeah, I have a lazy mouth. I don't pronounce things. I don't enunciate. That's the right word, isn't it? But the French, do you ever finish a word?
Well, you see, now my accent has improved a lot. I think it's not bad now, but I just can't. The grammar is.
Do you put on a French accent when you're doing French?
Oui. Well, you're meant to, aren't you?
Oui. Well, but some of the best French speakers I know actually don't, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, I don't.
Then I don't know how. I don't know how you pronounce everything.
Yeah, but that's why if you do it on Duolingo, it gives you like pronunciation lessons, doesn't it? So you can work on actually sound. I'm trying to think of something to say now.
The one Duolingo always stops me on the people's names. I'm like, Anna, what else am I supposed to say?
Oh, no, I'm doing Esperanto as well, and they have Adam and Adamo and Sophia and Sophia. But no one knows what Esperanto is meant to sound like, do
Made
they?
up.
It's
Yeah.
made up from everything
Made it
else.
up.
Um,
So
I think I saw this bar.
oh I.
There we go. So
I've been doing
Esperanto.
Italian now for almost 1,000 days, and
Yeah. And mine's just hit
I've
over
got
900. Don't know.
and still neither of us can speak.
Yeah.
I'm
We
good.
are
I've
in
got to
petit
play one.
chat. We.
We,
Yeah.
we see. Yeah, there you go. So I thought this was. I'm just looking. We managed to get in 2, 3 pre-Norman conquest
That's pretty decent, to be fair.
people in this,
We
which
didn't get that with Gits, did we?
I don't think we did manage it with Gits. No, because we've
No.
got Boudica, who obviously is famous for rebelling against the Romans, and then Alfred the Great, who Alfred the Great with his grapes. That was a fun episode. Anyone who didn't watch that episode, you need to.
Well, he was so great. We had 2 episodes on him.
Oh, we did.
We
For
did. And his bum
Alfred the
grapes.
Grapes. Alfred the Great and his grapes took 2 episodes to cover. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That was
partly because the whole context of what was going on in England, which was various kingdoms split at the time, and anyway, was took some we took some time to explain it. So
But yeah, but the bum grapes. Poor
but he
Alfred.
did. Well, he asked for them. He literally asked for
Well,
them.
he did. Be careful what you wish for and all of
He
that
asked God,
business.
"Can I have?"
If you don't know what we're talking about, you have to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
But
he was
yeah,
fun.
be careful what
He
you
was
wish for.
fun. He
He
was fun.
was, and well, it's just really, really interesting because you said it had all that wider context, and it's the first time we've had episodes or people or whatever where we said, well, it's going to be hard to find much for this one, or there's going to be a lot here. We're going to struggle to condense it down. But I think that was the first time we went, we can't do this in one episode.
Well, we can't,
There's
and we
just
didn't.
too much. There's no,
Yeah.
you're going to be leaving people with such little context. And, he is somebody, I mean, he's come second, obviously. He is somebody that left an enormous legacy, and, the history and the information and the structure of the world, the country that we still see today rests upon his shoulders. And it was really worth covering in 2, I thought. I thought that was a really good.
It was.
It
Try and make
worked.
us bigger. No, I don't want that. Sorry.
That's why you can't see me. That's fine with me.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Do that. I wanted to make us maybe half and half, but it won't do it.
But he was only pipped to the post by 1 point by Edward Jenner. But I think you'll remember why we thought Edward Jenner was worth a good score, because he did eradicate, well, essentially, not him on his own every step of the way, but essentially it's down to him that the whole world was rid of smallpox. So,
and then if the legacy of that working, leading to, proving that then led for other vaccines. So he is credited with, I can't remember the number now, but basically saving millions of lives. So he scored incredibly high. In fact, I think he got full marks on the importance of his work and the legacy of his work. Clearly to get 94, he scored high on everything. I don't have all the scores for all of the breakdown, but I think where are we? Edward Jenner, he got 30 for the level of importance of his role. And the positive is legacy 28 and his character 26.
Oh, I can give you the ones that are missing in the
Oh,
boxes.
can you? Lovely. I don't have those. Okay. Well, if we need those, I shall.
Look at with me
Okay.
varifocals.
So Anne of Cleves, I mentioned Anne of Cleves earlier. She
Yeah,
did come
lovely
quite
Anne.
low.
But as you said, it's not because there's anything sort of wrong with her as such. It was just that she did her thing, didn't she? And but she didn't leave a sort of a big legacy. She didn't make some striking impact in the world, and it was very hard to score on a lot of things because there were some things we just didn't have information for. So as much as we love Anna, and we
Well,
think
no, that was right. So we gave her 22 for character. So she scored high on character, but not too high on sort of her importance or level of skill in her role. I mean, her role was her role, but it's not one she's made for herself like Boudica did or Edward Jenner did. And actually, we scored her not too badly on positivity of her legacy. She is she's someone who intrigues people, and
yes.
I love that actually that now she's getting a lot more attention than she ever has before, and that's really exciting because it turns out she seems to be quite a fun character completely, which is why she scored high on character, I think. But then she didn't get any for agency because in terms of control over the way she's been remembered, I don't think well, obviously the audience scored this, but she didn't have much. So.
Bless her. We love Anna. I can't. Oh no, there they are. I was looking for them. There they are. When we need them, I have them.
Okie dokie.
Yes, here are candidates. So is there anybody that William Marshall? I saw Dead King John on Monday. Everybody likes William Marshall, don't they? He's kind of like he's a bit of a history here, but you can imagine him like riding in on a white horse, looking quite like stately, can't you?
He totally would.
He's one of those.
He would ride in on a impressive horse and look impressive, and
like in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, when Sean Connery is Richard the Lionheart at the end, and he comes in on the big horse with the armor, and I don't know if there's plumes, but there probably was. And everyone goes, prostrate ourselves at your feet, and he just looks like dead kingly and posh and commanding, like that.
Commanding. That's the thing. I think William Marshall, and if you read Thomas, I think there's probably a few books on William Marshall, but I've read the Thomas Ashbridge book, and it's based on the chronicle that was written I think it was written just after he died, so I think his family commissioned it. So there's quite a lot of information. Obviously it's sort of by virtue of memory or whatever, or maybe it was put together from notes, but the way he came up through like the ranks, because he was a younger son, so he wasn't entitled to any lands or anything like that. And if you were sort of that kind of, I don't know, rank at that time, then the way you could earn money is going to these, what do they call them, these tournaments. It's sort of like a precursor, a very incredibly violent precursor to the joust, where they would have like full-on mock like battles where they would try and capture each other. And basically if you caught someone, it was like an incredibly elaborate game of tag, but if you caught someone, you got to ransom them and you get the money, you might get their horse, their
armor,
all the armor, the saddles, all of that. So he got incredibly rich, and he had a little party trick where he could grab the reins of an opponent's horse whilst they're galloping around. That was a bit of a party trick of his. I mean,
as party tricks go, that's better than mine. So
yeah, I can't. I used to be able to ride a horse. I think I could ride a horse, but I'm not.
Don't like horses, as you know. It's well documented that I think horses are evil.
I don't think they're evil. I think they don't like you.
I've never ridden a horse. I don't want to. They smell. They're unpleasant. Well, this is where I get hate mail now, isn't it?
You might get more hate mail for that than I will about saying that about the French. I don't know.
Let's wait and see. Please
Yeah.
do pop underneath in the comments. Who do you think is going to get the most hate mail this week?
I don't really mind French. I don't really mind horses, but I feel like I would get thrown off nowadays. I think they'd know that I was nervous. Horses are so intuitive.
They're evil.
But they know you don't like them. That's exactly it. They know you don't like them. So they're
Yeah, but
like,
even
"Ugh,
before I
okay."
wasn't bothered about them. I was just like, no. No, because one of them, right? This is one of the reasons why I don't know. On Oscar's second birthday, we took him to a farm and a horse went for him and nearly took his finger off. And that was a little 2-year-old who was just sitting smiling, pointing at a horse.
Yeah. Well, they're not all nice, but yeah.
No, they're horrible. Oh, the only thing that horse is good for is the glue factory.
She's definitely getting hate mail.
When I see a horse box, right, trundling down the motorway at 1 inch an hour, obstructing the whole of the traffic, all I think is I hope that's on its way to make a load of Pritt sticks, because that's all it's good for. Or steaks. Some people like to
Honestly,
eat
I
horse, don't
reckon
they?
you are gonna make you. Yeah, right. Let's move swiftly on.
Said it before, I'll say it again. I don't like horses, they're evil and they smell. But apparently,
You
in
might
all
like
seriousness, some people like the taste of horse. Apparently, it's quite a nice meat. I don't know. I've never eaten it.
We don't have it in it. They have it in France, don't they?
I didn't want to say the French like to eat it because I thought they're just combining the two sets of people we pissed off.
There we go. There we go.
Anyway.
It's only because I cannot get my head around the language, and I'm really trying. Well, I did try, and now I'm an Italian, so anyway, fine.
Oh, I'm going to Disney Paris, aren't I? Speaking of France.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to
So I have to
practice.
pull my finger out and brush my skills up a bit.
They'll also speak English to you. That's what always happens.
I know. Well,
It's really difficult as an English person, isn't it, to
they'll just take pity on my feeble attempts to communicate with them. Just speak to her in English. It's embarrassing. Just oh dear. Anyway, it's Disney, so I'm very excited. Very excited.
There's a lady who lives with a tiger. She's French. I can't remember her name on Instagram. She's so funny.
She lives in a tiger.
Yeah, these tigers. I think she has about 3. Not in a house or anything. In a compound.
In a tiger.
No, she lives with the tiger. Tigers live with her. She's their mom. I don't know. She can go near these tigers, and she can like they're normal cats.
Now you see, you say this. There was this story years ago about this couple, similar sort of thing, and they had this pet lion. Okay, and anyway, it ate her. And
yeah, it's not a great idea.
Right. So he was like, well, you know, it's nature, and then it ate him as well. It's not funny.
It's not funny, but it is.
It's just the way he was like, oh well, it's just nature, and then it went for him as well. I was like, he was okay. I just like, what were you expecting to happen?
He said that.
That's really inappropriate.
That's what he said.
Yeah, wow. It apparently.
Oh, they were nuts.
I'm going to have to see if I can find this story now. Apparently, yeah, it was this couple, and it killed her. And he was like, oh well, you know, it's nature, and that's what it is. And then it just kind of like history repeated itself, as it does. I have to see if I can find that story now. It is sad. I know I'm laughing, but it's just the irony that's funny, not the fact that these two people got killed by a lion.
I think that sounds like not
funny, obviously, but it was just, yeah.
Shall we go through?
Living with 3 tigers is a very good idea.
Yeah, well, they're not in a house or anything. So, shall we go through from bottom to top so that if anyone doesn't know who these people are and are interested, then they can go back. They'll know which episode they want to go back and have a look at. So we've kind of said about Edward the Confessor. So Edward the Confessor was the final king of. No, he wasn't actually, because there was Harold after him, wasn't there? But basically, Edward died in the first couple of days of 1066.
Which you will recognise the date.
You will recognise the date. It's actually the year of 3 kings, because we had Edward the Confessor at the New Year, then Harold Godwinson, and then William the Conk comes over and wins in the October of 1066. And then he's crowned on Christmas Day 1066. So it's the year of the 3 kings. And Edward the Confessor gets this sort of saintly name. He had big fans at Westminster Abbey, the monks, basically, because he built them a nice new abbey. So
you can see why they'd be happy with that.
That helped. And so because he died childless, they sort of saw him as this very pious, man who probably, took a vow of chastity in secret and didn't tell anybody. But anyway, he didn't have children, so that's what they'd like to put it down to. So he leaves it with no heir, the country with no heir. That makes a mess. So that's why he is. We basically decided, I think we blamed him for all of what William did and subsequent. So I don't know,
but followed essentially. So but he was wasn't he, for Ted the Grass?
He was Ted the Grass, yeah. Edward the Confessor, Ted the Grass, yeah. Then we have Princess Charlotte.
Oh, bless her.
So she was. Or do you want to pick up Princess Charlotte, or should I?
Oh no, no, I know she's a particular favourite of yours, isn't she?
She
was a little minx, I say.
So she is, yes. So she was the granddaughter of George III, the daughter of who would be George IV, the prince. He was Prince Regent because his father George III was the one who had bouts of mental illness, which proved him incapacitated him. And so Charlotte was the Prince Regent's daughter, and she married Prince Leopold of
unpronounceable place name.
And sorry, my daughter's the only person he can get through when I have do not disturb on, and she's upstairs and she knows I'm doing this, and she's still anyway. So Charlotte, she marries and is pregnant. So therefore, what you have is you have George III, his son, the Prince Regent, Princess Charlotte, and now Princess Charlotte is pregnant. So that's the line of succession. And she has a difficult pregnancy and a horrendous labour, which unfortunately results in the baby being stillborn. It was a baby boy. So there's sort of the next, but in line to the throne, unfortunately, it doesn't survive. And then Charlotte unfortunately dies within a day of the birth as well. And so 2 generations are wiped out with the birth of Charlotte. Now, Charlotte is a bit of an antidote to her Hanoverian family. So, we know of the excesses of the Prince Regent, but all of the brothers, the sons of George III, were they just like to party. I mean, they had a lot of money. They were into all sorts.
They were.
And with the death of, like I say, with Charlotte and the death of her son, you lost those 2 generations. And the reason the reason this is so significant, one is because the country loved her. They loved her. She was known as England's Rose, which some of you may recognise as a label which was also attached to the late Princess Diana. And the outpouring of public grief was on a just gigantic, probably the same scale. If you were around when Princess Diana died in 1997, then you will understand the level of grief that would have been similar when Princess Charlotte died as well. So then you got the farcical race for all of for the sons of George III, who had just had mistresses, basically, other than George the fourth, other than the future George IV, Prince Regent, whose marriage was a complete mess, but all the others hadn't even bothered to get married. So then you had this ridiculously farcical race to get married and have a legitimate heir, and that resulted in the birth of three new children, two boys, actually, both called George, because that's what you do, and
repeatedly.
I had a little girl called Victoria, who was in the
You
dominant line, and therefore we get Queen Victoria. And Queen Victoria, so Victoria, basically, that's how the story goes, is she wouldn't have existed had Charlotte lived, or had her boy lived. Princess Victoria, who became Queen Victoria, wouldn't have even wouldn't have even been alive. So I think Kat probably blamed Charlotte for Victoria, who she doesn't like.
Victoria, because she loves Queen Victoria.
Yeah. So there you go.
Don't we all?
Sorry, that's quite a long explanation for her, but yeah, she is one of my favourites.
She's one of your history faves, isn't she? But again, she only scored low because, well, I suppose that was her legacy, really. That's probably took away from it.
I think Victoria. Let's have a look.
But yeah, she essentially wasn't she was.
So 20 for character, because
very, very well thought of, very beloved.
She was naughty. You were right. She was a bit of a minx. I mean, she tried to get off with her own uncle, I think it was. When she was quite young, she was like right into older men, and so she was keen to she was keen on the opposite sex.
She was an affectionate young lady.
Yeah, indeed. So yes, there you go. Right, do you want to pick up Anne?
Well, yeah, we've touched on Anna, haven't we, already? And we said in she had so many sort of endearing characteristics that you were hard pushed in a time where everybody was always clamoring to find bad things to write about anyone and everybody. Even Henry VIII couldn't. Well, he found some bad things to say about her while they were married, but
only so he could get out of it, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then subsequently to that, you don't really find anybody and they weren't really about her characteristics or her personality, were they? It was about sort of physical appearance and a probably made up thing about a pre-contract. But she seems to have been very respectful, very pleasant, very amiable. She made good relationships both personally and professionally. Obviously, she did well out of her divorce from Henry, so she was probably the shrewdest, maybe. I don't know how much of it was luck, how much of it was common sense. She appeared to have, the person to ask would be Heather Darcy, because she's actually written the book on Anna, but she's also written quite extensively about her siblings as well, and I've not read that work. But I think she had a bit of sibling rivalry with her elder brother, who was the what's the word of Cleves? Like, not the king, but
was he a duke? I don't know.
Yeah, Duke. Yeah, anyway, kind of the lead dude of Cleves. And so, and
head Cleves.
The head Cleve. she always conducted herself sort of professionally and appropriately, whatever her role was. She did charitable deeds. She was just an all-round good egg, really. And where she dropped down on total points was just because, although now she's obviously been sort of reanalyzed and brought into the fore, like all of Henry's wives, really, a lot more examined, and a lot more of the female characters more recently in history, because she didn't have children. She didn't remain married to Henry. Once she passed away, her legacy, she kind of, sadly, there isn't much to Anna after her death. She was a wonderful lady, but she didn't leave anything behind that was very notably passed on to future generations. And maybe because of her situation, she wasn't ever able to make a big impact on anything in the way that she, you look at some of Henry's other wives, whether he considered to be married to them or not, they've left writing or a bigger mark in history, or were
I
a
wonder what's to come.
So
what there is about Anna that we maybe don't isn't as well known about, or isn't known about at all yet. Like, I remember Owen Emerson talking about uncovering evidence at Hever Castle, which, I mean, now there's been more work done at Hever by Simon Thurley, so it's identified that part of the castle, which was thought to have been built by Thomas Boleyn, was actually built by Anna. So that means she spent a lot of time there, because you don't invest in a property that you're never at. So that proved the kind of the physical link of her to there. But also, I'm sure he was talking about how there were records that showed she would go to the kitchens and cook. She liked
Yeah,
to cook
yeah,
and would cook. They don't have their own kitchen. There's only the kitchen that is for the staff, the servants to use. So she would go there, which
yeah.
just sounds fun. She
This
sounds fun.
sounds like a really lovely person, doesn't she? In a
Yeah.
world of absolute dickheads, she was like, sounds like a really lovely person. You would actually be a pleasure to be around.
I think
And whilst she had her status and things that she had to kind of adhere to that, she also just was
Yep.
pleasant, I
Her
think.
status of incredibly rich
Yeah,
single woman.
minted woman.
Oh
But I
no.
sometimes think that she was probably a little bit lonely. She left her family and her friends, everything, all in Cleves. Never obviously went back for debatable reasons.
Well, we'd have to ask
Never married, never
her.
had children. Well, so
Yeah,
I just wonder if
but
she
they're
just
around
wanted some
people.
companionship, really, sometimes.
She's around people all the time. Yeah, so presumably she's got her ladies in waiting. She's got servants, and then she's got hobbies. And she would also go to court. She liked
Mm.
playing cards a lot. She liked dancing. So yeah, she's quite fun. So Sir Walter Raleigh.
Oh, Sir Walter, really. That's if you've ever watched Blackadder. Now, I don't know much about navigators. So this was quite an interesting one for me, really. But for me, Sir Walter, the legacy was one that he wanted, but wasn't actually the one that achieved it. So I think he kind of set in motion what he wanted to achieve, didn't quite manage to make it work himself, but it happened anyway. But actually, it wasn't particularly nice. It's kind of my
I don't know.
assessment of him.
Well, it depends how far you want to take the whole fact that he was a navigator, if you want to say that. But I mean, he wrote, didn't he
He
write
did.
his history? And yeah.
Yeah, and some quite
So
poor poetry, if I remember correctly. Was it him that wrote some really naff poetry?
quite possibly.
I can't remember now.
But I mean, he was clearly loved by his family.
He was, yeah.
Or his wife was loopy, because I'm not sure.
Could
I'm
have been
not
a bit
sure
of both, I
actually.
suppose.
I'm not sure that the carrying around of his head in a bag actually is equivalent to she
It's
really loved
healthy.
him. I think you
Yeah,
can really love someone and not need to carry their head around in a bag for the rest of your
yeah.
life, and then leave it in a cupboard or wherever it was supposed to be left. So yeah, I'm not sure if
Yes.
that is.
Well, however the level of love was, that's a tad unhealthy, isn't
I
it?
think it probably isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bless
um
them.
oh, and then we had William
Oh, Mr.
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. I love William Shakespeare. In fact, I got very excited when I went to Stratford yesterday because I am going to see Hamlet in at the RSC, and I got a little flyer just so I could look at it and get excited. Not get excited about the man, although I'm sure he's a very nice man. I don't know who he is. He's a man. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. And of course, you were in Worcester on Monday. And did you know that's where Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway they had to go there to get their marriage license?
Oh no, you see, Philippa is Queen Worcester, I discovered on Monday. I had a flying visit to the cathedral, and then and I didn't have very long there, to be fair. I only had a couple of hours, but now I need about a fortnight by the sounds of things. So no,
Yeah,
I did
I
not
need
know
to
that.
go back.
That was their slightly hastily arranged marriage.
Yes. And so there are 3 possible churches where Shakespeare and Anne would have got married, all who claim that they got married there. I can't remember which ones they are, but one has every record of the marriages sort of before, like the years before. I say every, I don't know from what year, but probably around the 1530s when it became a requirement. So your marriages, and so they've got all the marriages for the years before and after the year that Shakespeare and Hathaway got married. So this church, so as if someone has taken the page, which
Yeah, that's a
we
bit
have.
too specific, isn't it?
Yeah. So perhaps that's it. I can't remember which one that is, but
Oh,
anyway.
I was
So don't do
reading. What was I reading or watching about different people who have researched and oh, I know, it was in this book. Hang on a moment. This book here, and it was about people who've come up with different, well, it was about all sorts of different things to do with Shakespeare. It's really, really good. It's very easy to read. It's very accessible. Bill Bryson's quite a good writer. A few
Yeah,
people have been
Shakespeare was good.
with him recently, but I've just finished this, and he was discussing different things like the authorship debate and how people have researched Shakespeare. And he did talk about one particular guy, and I can't remember the chap's name now, who went through and basically collected, if as part of his research, curiosities and things, but he would borrow books and papers and things and send them back with pages missing or bits literally cut out.
Oh, so bad.
So it's probably that dude.
Could be. So actually, I found it. There's 6 churches claiming to have conducted the ceremony, and it's St Martin's in the Corn Market at Worcester that has the page. So they got married in 1582, and the page with all the 1582
It was that
marriages.
dude. It was
Probably is
that
that dude.
dude. So that would have been. So that's what I'm putting my money on.
This is where Kat was saying no touchy.
Yeah, no touchy. Yes. So that's where I reckon he got married for that reason. That's where I'm putting my money.
Yeah, it was too touchy. Too right.
He certainly was.
And then we have Boudica. We need to go a bit quicker than this. We're nearly at over 3/4 an hour. Boudica, who was
badass.
She was badass, but I was surprised to hear that there is the potential that she's legend. Like, not the uprising. Clearly, there's actual physical evidence of Colchester, of London, of St Albans, I think it was, wasn't it, being burned. Like, there's a layer. there's a layer.
Yeah.
But whether she, I mean, this is only like some theory that she may have been legend, or she may have been a few people combined or whatever. That may be the mistreatment. I'm saying that because I don't want to say the word, but imagine the most badly mistreatment you can do of young girls. That of her daughters was part of that legend, which you kind of hope in that you don't want that to have happened. But either way, I mean, the Romans were heavy-handed at this point, where assimilation, which was their general tactic, wasn't sort of being employed. It was more taking over. So anyway, there was this uprising, and we like to think she's real, and we like to sing the Horrible History song.
So we do.
Which is really good. Look that up on YouTube, the Horrible Histories Boudica song. It's very fun.
Although the Georges song is still my favourite in Horrible Histories.
There's so many. They're so good at them. Take the Few, Battle of Britain. You seen that one?
Oh,
Basically,
no.
take that. Oh my god, it's so funny. It's really good.
Right.
Nicholas Owen.
Nicholas Owen, priest hide builder extraordinaire. Now, he scored quite well here. which this is a difficult one, isn't it? Because on one hand, you have people like Edward Jenner, who Smallbox, and then Alfred the Great. So some of these people we've already talked about. So comparatively, Nicholas Owen's contribution is tiny, and that sounds like I'm underestimating it. I'm not underestimating his achievements at all, because they were amazing. But it just makes it, my point is that you're looking at all these people and we're looking at them in their own individual rights, but the scale of what they affected overall. So although as an extremely talented, clever, and successful for the best part, priest high builder Nicholas Owen. I mean, people didn't always meet the best ends, but his work was exquisite and very successful, and in his field he was top notch. It's very hard then to put him into a table with people. Let me find that, when his thing is very, very niche. So he's extremely wonderful, successful, productive. What he does saves many, many people's lives, gives people hope, all of these types of things.
And incredibly clever. If anyone's ever been to anywhere like Harvington Hall, which is
an architect as well, to have all the information he had.
He must have had one of those brains that can see shapes. I don't know, things differently, because the whole idea is obviously they're hidden, and it's not just a floorboard under that you lift up and there's a cavity underneath. The priest hunters were looking for these people, and they knew that these hides existed, so he didn't build one the same as the next. And actually that's part of the reason. And he was so he was tortured to death in the Tower of London, and his secrets went with him. He was such a brave man. But that's another reason why we don't actually know how many hides he built. We don't actually know where all of them were. Imagine a lot of them have been destroyed now. There's Hinlip House, which was a big Catholic house in the area, which was significant in his story. That has completely gone. There's just nothing left of it. Unfortunately, there's another Hinlip House on top of it, but it's a later building. But yeah, he was very brave, very clever.
Well, we scored him between us 26 for personal life or character. 30 for professional. And 19 for legacy. And I think because of the legacy thing, it was just because within his field, his own right, what he did, the world he moved in, and what his purpose was, for want of a better expression, his legacy is top notch. However, it then becomes comparative, doesn't it?
It's not an ongoing thing. It was whilst he was alive.
Exactly. So but yes, we like Nicholas Owen.
Yeah. So Robert Peel, this was an interesting one. I remember we talked a lot about law reform and things like that. Well, obviously with Robert Peel and his legacy being the police force and things like that.
I think
I can't actually remember a huge amount.
No, I mean, I don't remember. I know there was he was involved in the Catholic, in the Northern Irish question quite a lot, wasn't he? And as well as sort of law enforcement. But I think one of the things we liked about him, despite the fact that he was a politician, is that he was prepared to take his own stance, even if there was something he was very passionate about, like the Irish question, but then move against it for the greater good, which ultimately cost him his premiership the second time around.
Politician who changed his mind?
Well, he didn't change his mind.
Oh, he was
just
pragmatic.
did what he thought was going to be the least destructive course of action. And it cost him his premiership.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with politics. No one's allowed to sort of come up with
to go, actually, I don't necessarily agree with it, but this is the lesser of two evils. So a
Pragmatism. Wow.
politician with a little bit of sort of humility and
Mm.
forward thinking and put a little bit of an air of being prepared to put their ego aside if they really think it's for the best. So I think that's maybe why he didn't, get 4 out of 100 for being a politician.
Yeah,
I can
and
give
his
you his
introduction of the
scores
police
though. He
force.
got 23 for like character personal type of thing because I think he had the odd spats with a couple of people, but genuinely he seemed to be quite open, quite amiable, um, and a good family man, and so on and so forth. Professional, we gave him 24. So again, good score, mostly due to what we were saying. And legacy, we gave him 20, which seems low for someone who invented the Rozzers. But I
Yeah.
think it's just because what his vision for the police isn't exactly where we are
Didn't
right now.
last. Yeah.
Let's just leave it there.
Yeah. Let's leave it there. Okay, so Florence Nightingale,
Flo,
famous
Flo.
nurse, and yeah, again, quite an interesting. So the inventor of the what was the name of the graph that she came?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had quite a lot this time, I didn't we? The incredibly complicated maths and science shit. And she was one of them.
We've got quite a few scientists in this one.
Yeah,
It's
we
good.
did, which was great, which was good, except for the fact that a lot of the time we were like, no, we don't understand.
Yeah. So she was. I mean, she was a nurse, obviously, but she was one of the first to sort of instigate sort of hygiene practices and
Mm.
take the advice of there were other people working on this sort of idea that maybe dead horses in the
In
water
a
supply
well.
were
Yeah.
not great. But actually sort of went over to Crimea and just no, the hospital she worked in wasn't in Crimea, was it, at the beginning? Was it? Anyway,
No,
whichever
it
one
was
it
just on
was,
the outskirts. I just suddenly
we'll find it.
remembered, sorry, you said about that horse. You made me really laugh. One of those ones where I lost the plot because you said you can lead the horse to water, but you can't leave it to die there. And it really just made me laugh. So it stuck in my one of those ones where I just kind of can't get my shit together for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, don't let it die in the water. That's not
Yeah.
the
We
idea.
looked in and everyone was just like, there's a fucking dead horse in the well. Like,
Yeah,
what
I
are you
find that.
people doing with your lives
I
apart
know
from
it's
dying of Legionnaire's disease?
yeah. I just don't. I don't know. I don't understand that.
No, it
And
will
yeah,
do.
so she made that happen. Those two, and she brought that back to England and to the 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 hospital she worked in when she was back here. She was very clean cut as far as I remember. She
Mm.
didn't approve, as far as I remember. Did she not really approve of, I'm trying to find her here, of Mary Seacole, who obviously is often
Oh, right,
cited
yes,
as
yes.
yeah, because Mary Seacole sounds like a lot more fun to be around. The Rose diagram, that's what that's the
Oh, yeah, that was
that's
not a
what
lot that was not shits and
Florence
giggles,
came
that
up with.
thing. It
You
was
you had to work
because
out.
it was seen as very, it's very intellectual, very clever, and very, it explained a lot of things. We did also say there did seem to be maybe an element of this is a very complicated piece of diagramming, and I can
Also,
kind of take this and make it look like what I want it to say.
exactly, and that was one of the
Yeah.
reasons that she didn't get more marks, is that she was the first one to well, maybe first one, I don't know, but pictorial the pictorial depiction of the statistics has been something that has been adopted since, and it there's lies, what's this phrase, damn lies and statistics, something like that. But if you
Yes.
then put those statistics in a picture, the human brain will
Ooh.
just
really.
latch onto that within something like 0.3 seconds or something ridiculous compared to looking at a table of results or whatever like that. So she did kind of manipulate it to look a certain way to get her point across. And I think we all got a little bit like, yeah, we kind of blamed her for the fact that some people have done that for wrong
Yes.
ends ever since.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, she did. She demonstrated that a pretty picture is incredibly persuasive. But yeah, she was really interesting person to to look into. That's my door again because she's still forgotten that I'm doing this. Right, I don't know. Did you hear the ping?
Yes, I did that
Yeah,
time.
sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Never mind.
Okay.
Boaty
Okay.
McBoatface.
Pardon?
Boaty McBoatface.
Boaty
Admiral
man.
Horatio Nelson. I liked him a bit more than I thought I would, actually.
I already did like him actually, but because I have visited Victory, HMS Victory,
Yeah.
loads of times, which is
A million times.
million times. Yes, pretty much just about a million.
More than him. Been on them more
Actually,
than him.
probably more than him. Yes.
Yeah.
So the Victory, of course, is where it was the ship that he was on during the Battle of Trafalgar, and he took a shot from a French I don't want to say sniper, I don't know, guy with a gun on the rigging of the French ship Redoubtable, and and he took a shot and it went in through his shoulder and ripped through his lungs and lodged in his spine, I think. So he had a slow death, painful death, but he did live long enough to be told that the English had been victorious at the battle and had stuck it to the French. So that was better for him. Now, he didn't want a sea burial. And so his body was put into it was basically pickled, I think in rum. Basically put in a casket. And because the ship, they're off they're off the coast of Gibraltar, I think, and the ship has been damaged, so it goes to the docks there to be repaired. So it's ages. I can't remember exactly how long, but it's ages before his body is returned. To it goes to Greenwich, and but anyway, he ends up with I think it is a state funeral. This huge funeral. The procession for which was longer. So the procession went from Admiralty House, which is on Whitehall, to St Paul's, which is where he's buried in the casket that was meant for Henry VIII, which he'd already stolen from Wolsey. In the so underneath in the crypt, but underneath the dome of St Paul's Cathedral, and the cortege or procession, whatever you'd say, was longer than the distance between those two places, between Admiralty House and St Paul's Cathedral. So he was, I mean, he was a hero in his own time, and I think that helped me, my decision to score him higher as well, in that I think we have to look at how people were, we're not living in those times. We don't know what people felt about how frightened they were about about the threat of Napoleon. So if he's a national hero at the time, I don't think we should decide that everyone at the time was a bit silly and shouldn't think of it like that. So anyway,
well, we gave him 20 for relationships. I think that what scored him down a little bit was, didn't he have a permanent side piece? And he wasn't very discreet about it.
No, he wasn't very nice to. He was originally quite close to his wife, I think, and then he wasn't when he began his relationship with, oh my God, her name has completely gone out of my head.
Yeah.
They had a daughter who was Horatia.
See what they did there.
Yes. So, so not hiding it at all, which was much to the distress of his wife. So yeah, I think that would be why he scored lower. But he was very
we gave him full marks.
Very good at
And
his job.
Legacy 21.
Well, he only dropped 9.
So
I mean, he got Henry's sarcophagus, which makes me laugh. Good
this
on
is
him.
fine work. We like that very much.
Mm.
We do.
And he scored the same as Thomas More and Charles Darwin. So
Interesting.
Sir or Saint Thomas More, depending on, is he Saint or is he Sir? Like, what are we supposed to call him?
I don't know. Was it Sir at the time and Saint subsequently? Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he wasn't. Yeah. Well, he wasn't Saint
just
at the time.
pick one or invent one of your own.
Yeah.
Lady Thomas More.
Maybe.
Dr. Thomas More.
But he.
I like
another one
Thomas
whose head
More.
went.
Yes, another head in a handbag. It was his daughter, wasn't it? Margaret Roper, apparently. What is it with these people with heads in bags?
I think they don't like the fact that the head was
on a pike
taken off the body. Yeah,
that's true.
And I don't know.
You don't have to. You can retrieve it and bury it with dignity. You don't have to shove it in your Louis Vuitton.
What it probably was it stops it getting displayed.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
But then again, bury it with dignity. Don't hump it around the place and take it to lunch.
But yeah. Don't show it off.
Yeah. Look what I've got.
Bit weird. And I think we spoke about, I can't remember again. Have I got the scores for him here?
Oh no, I have. Je suis désolée.
You have.
Character stroke relationships, 24, because he was family man, daughter's education, all this malarkey.
Yes,
but he did a touch of the Henry VIII. My wife's dead. You'll do. Next one, 4 seconds later. Professional life, 23. And legacy, 24. But then he scored for agency, so for his legacy.
Yeah. He didn't score badly for. I mean, he must go down as one of the most stubborn men in history. Sure. I mean, or principled, or whatever. There is a positive way of looking at that as well. But his family pleaded with him, and for what really did he die? But
yeah,
you could say that about a lot of people.
True, that's very, very true.
Charles Darwin, there's also a good Horrible Histories song about him.
See, we're giving you all the different types of good quality historical research here, people. Love Horrible Histories. It's fun. If you haven't ever, I know we've mentioned it before, but if you haven't ever watched it, you should. Even though it's kind of designed for kids, it's still brilliant.
I think that's probably why we like it.
Yeah. But the songs are particularly, but it helps to get children interested in history, so it's fabulous on all the levels.
Yeah, we like it.
We do.
So Charles Darwin, obviously. My daughter's been doing some of my social media for me, helping me out, especially since I've had my eye operation, which is why I'm in these old glasses. But anyway, and she put a post out the other day because it was the anniversary of the publishing of Origin of Species.
Oh, okay.
And which actually, but she'd put Origin of the Species, which I think is said quite often. Yeah. So someone had commented underneath, I think you'll find it's Origin of Species. Okay.
I think you'll find that you need to be quiet.
I think you'll find you need a new hobby other than just trolling people on the internet. But yeah,
I think you'll find Darwinism forgot about you, so please be careful because it might realise.
Yeah. And it is interesting, and it's this was it. We got into a discussion about whether it was a theory or not, and what the term theory meant. Yeah.
Oh yes, and then we got some very angry comments, didn't we? From people.
Yeah, they were directed at me.
In both, like, I think on the actual thing and on Instagram. I even got a very lengthy email about it, which I sort of, and I read it and then I was like, I can't be asked to explain that to everybody else. So
Oh,
It's there
God.
probably if anyone wants to read it, but it wasn't
Ah,
say, it was just the same debate going backwards and forwards. And I was like, we've gone past the episode now. I'm not reigniting some
why?
sort of verbal
Okay,
fisticuffs
so
about
I
it.
still don't understand why it irritated people so much, because
Is it?
my point was trying to be that it's not a law. And then I think that started something off. So, like, you have laws in physics. It's like it happens every single time. Like it's indisputable what happens,
Mm,
blah, blah,
mm,
blah.
yeah.
And that the Darwin's theory of evolution is a theory, and there are big questions around it, which I don't find are answered by it in itself, unless I'm missing something. But, like, for instance, if there's a if there's a what do you call it, like a so something's happened. There's a theory go that something's happened, sort of like a a change in the genetics, whatever, that's caused a characteristic that
Mhm.
then becomes an advantage, and therefore then that sort of that line continues. But how much of an advantage does it have to be for it to become dominant at all? And how long does that take?
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing, though, from it, which I thought of afterwards, I don't think I mentioned this at the time, is how much are we must then accept, if we accept this, that we and every other species on the planet is still evolving and will keep evolving. Therefore, what we understand to be the nature of a shark or a beaver or whatever is going to change, because there's been, like, new behavior in, I think, sharks, monkeys, it's been observed, that they've learned. I think sharks in a particular place, after one of their lot got harpooned or whatever, have been going after boats. It's like, anyway, so that's just an aside, but I found it quite interesting, but I still don't quite understand why it irritated certain people so
It
much.
did. It's
And
people
if you want to go
got
back and watch the episode and get irritated at me, do so. Feel free. I stand by my point, even if I hadn't articulated it.
we stand by
That
what
was
we
silly.
said.
Well, it's a discussion point. It's not. Anyway, there you go.
Anyway, either way, sharks and beavers, we'll let you know how it goes over the next 3
Yeah,
centuries.
beavers may turn nasty if they work out
How
um,
yes, if they
that we've
develop
been making
opposing
hats
thumbs.
out of them. Oh,
Like my
oh,
coat, like my jacket that looks like a load of dead beavers. They'll come for me next, won't they?
probably.
Yeah, the
No.
one I wore to your house the other week. Ava said to me, "Well, that's a nice jacket." I was like, "Yes, it's my dead beaver coat."
Yeah.
It's not really made of beaver,
Uh,
everybody, in case it's faux fur. I haven't really gone out and skinned a load of beavers to make a jacket.
whose coat is this jacket? Um,
Whose shoes are these trainers?
yeah.
Yeah. Besides which, you all know very well how much I love beavers. So that sounds wrong. But yeah,
We
so I was
follow beavers on Instagram, don't we?
we do,
No.
yeah,
Mm,
and I sponsor a beaver as well
of course you do.
in Derbyshire. So
A
and
Derbyshire
when
beaver. Oh,
they're rewilding them in Derbyshire amongst a number of other places, but they are rewilding beavers, and they're in the process of making a kind of habitat enclosure thing. So apparently, when it's all finished, I will be able to go and because I sponsor this beaver, I will be able to go down and meet the beavers.
see
I mean, not go
what's
right up to them because they
destroyed.
might bite me, but like, go and you'll be able to go around and get a tour around the enclosure and see the beavers and things.
Oh, okay, they're
The
in an
teeth,
enclosure. Oh, cute.
they might bite me,
Um,
won't they? They look a bit bitey.
well, yes, they fell trees with their mouths.
Mm. But they're
I think
cute
they're
though,
just
aren't
cute.
they?
Yeah, they're
They are
cute when they're
cute.
not damming up your stream and flooding your house. I'm joking. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Capability Brown.
Bridges, no, gardens.
That's right. the
Yes,
landscaping. So I remember he so a lot of discussion around this was the
very
jobs he brought to
talented
the
man.
area, but did he destroy a lot in order to create what he did? But then again, he was doing it on the wishes of the landowners who would have done it anyway. So
And he wasn't
but it,
going through just randomly ripping things out, was he? And he would have been very mindful of all the effects. So you might say, "Oh, it's a shame that bit of forest went or whatever," but he was very mindful and very clever, and he understood landscape and architecture and all things like this.
mm.
So, he worked well and thoughtfully with what he did do. He didn't just like rip a load of stuff out the ground and leave it to it. He
'Cause
really
we gave
understood
him,
the landscapes he worked on.
I mean, we gave him 29, so 29 out of 30 for his level of skill and importance.
Yeah,
22 for his character. I can't remember why we
I think it's because we didn't really have that much to go on.
on him. Mm.
Yeah.
And his legacy is not quite as high as maybe some people would expect. And I think that was because so we're left actually with a lot of capability brown landscapes.
Mhm.
Um, and capability in brown inspired landscapes, and they're basically the ones that look like rolling English countryside, right? They look natural and they're not, which is fascinating.
Incredible, yeah.
It is incredible. um I like them. I think his um designs were beautiful and
Well, and
made
he was
very nice
able
things.
to, he didn't see a lot of his work coming to fruition because what he was able to do was create like landscape, make the plans and then create an image of what it would look like in the future. So he was thinking about something or how it would look in 100 years. So well
Yeah,
after his time. So he was able to do that and put these things together to look nice and everything in the time now when he was building it and over the years. So always create like a sequence where it would look beautiful from when he started it to when he finished it. And he had that vision and that plan to make sure that that came in 100 years later or whatever. It's very, very clever.
it's clever, and there's humility in that. I think not needing to see,
Mm,
leaving it for future generations, not needing to see it in your own lifetime. I
that's a really
I
good
think.
point. Yeah.
Then we have Isambard Kingdom Brunel
Bridges.
with bridges and hats
The hat.
and impressive chains.
Yes,
Do you remember the chain?
I do. They were something else.
And he had a very. I remember talking about his family life, which was interesting. Not like he was, I think, as far as I remember, quite a dedicated husband, but his parents,
Yes.
interesting. Um, and
And he mumped it, didn't he, as he was about to sail off somewhere. Like I'm not remembering much about him except bridges and
he
chains.
he died. He was only 53.
Of a stroke?
He he was a very heavy smoker, so I'm not actually sure exactly how he died. I haven't got that down, but as a result of something related to his smoking,
Died of death.
he died of death. Death got him. Gets us all in the end. And he, yeah. So I don't know. So he invested, and well, his dad did this as well. I think his dad was more. I think his dad lost more money doing this sort of thing, but he put his money where his mouth is, and he got
Mhm.
into
Oh, yes.
um the workings. He'd be on site. He'd be, this wasn't.
Yes, that was it.
It wasn't a
Yes,
come up with an idea and let everyone else sort of break their backs to do it.
I
Um,
remember now because he invented that thing, didn't he? I'm afraid I can't remember the name of it, but essentially, when people were digging the tunnels and preparing the tunnels, he invented a device that went inside to stop the tunnels collapsing on the people working in them. And he was like, as you say, he got right in there. He
yeah,
was doing, or he wasn't, he was right involved in all these projects on
I've
the
got.
ship, in the
I
tunnels.
Yeah, I didn't do that bit, but I've got a feeling. I don't think maybe I did. Didn't he get injured at a collapse or nearly injured, which was to spurred him on to to make sure it didn't happen again, which is
That would make
an incredible design. And he scored equal points at 87 with Isaac Newton, who I've gone completely. I mean, I know he was a scientist, but I've gone completely blank. Oh, the Newton cradle.
Yeah, we kind of muddled through
Prisms.
trying to vaguely understand what was
There was,
going. I think at the time I did work out something quite impressive, but I now can't
a
remember
lot
what
of
it was.
science. There was a lot of science. There was a lot of
It
science in this. I
was.
remember.
Anyway, he was very good at science. So yay him. And
Yeah,
obviously
he was
quite good at
very
a lot
good.
of things because 80. Oh, did he do something with lights?
Prisms, yeah,
Prisms, yes. And some other crap. Anyway,
yeah.
whatever it was worthwhile, and he was very good at it. And he must have been quite a nice bloke because he got 87.
So we were
Translation,
clearly
I don't remember
impressed.
anything about Isaac Newton. I'm really sorry.
We're clearly impressed. So William Marshall, I mean, just a swoon fest.
Swoon fest. Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
impressive.
Mm.
And yeah, I think if there is anyone I would like to go back in time and meet or see, it would be
You
William
could
Marshall.
see him coming out of a burning building carrying a kitten, couldn't you?
Oh yeah,
That type of thing.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
They were really
obviously he took on King John's son, and he was he came to the throne as a minor, and he did a very good job as like a protector, or however you might want to describe him. He kept the country at peace and did a fantastic job. So apart from being a bit of a hero and a bit brave and a bit sharp and doing all the other things he did, he just really kept the country very ordered after a period of idiocy, really.
he managed to survive
Mm,
serving 5 kings,
yes.
all of like, so this is where am I at? Henry first, second. Oh my god.
Second. Hang on,
Second,
Richard?
yeah, Richard the Lionheart was one of
Yeah,
them. Henry the Young King, who was
yeah.
the anyway, he
Third in the
yeah,
end. King John.
King John and Henry the Third. Oh yes, it must have been Henry the Second.
Mm.
Yeah, so Henry the Second, Henry the Young King, Richard the Lionheart, King John, and Henry the Third. That's right. So he served all of them, and they didn't like. There was definite issues in that family, and so he managed to do that and remain loyal. And so, if any of you have watched The Last Kingdom, and if you haven't, do. He appears
That's
like
real
a
kittens out of burning buildings material,
that's
that is.
yeah. Just do it. You'll thank us if you haven't watched it. You will. You can send us those kind of thank you emails. And he strikes me like as an Uhtred,
Mm.
son of Uhtred, who is highly respected by even his enemies, and sometimes he ends up being on his enemy side because he's so loyal. He has his, you know, he has his orders and he sticks to them. And I think William Marshall
And in
seems to have
fact,
been
to show
like
his
that.
worth, he stood against Richard the Lionheart against when he was working for his father. But Richard had the opportunity to kill him and didn't take it because he realised that he was going to be coming into his own kinship and be in charge, if you like. But he saw the value of him as a soldier and a statesman.
Mm,
So, everybody really saw what a good soldier, statesman, person, etc. that he was. He was extremely
mm.
valued in a very difficult time. So, yeah, the boy did good.
Boy, did good.
The boy
And then
did
we have final woman in the list, another scientist,
Mm,
Ada Lovelace, who
yes.
scored. So she's third in the History Heroes League at 89 points.
You're going to ask me things about her now, aren't you?
So she is just yeah, so she did stuff that we can't explain. Because
Just
she's known as the
science.
mother
Science.
of computing.
Yes.
And she was Lord Byron's illegitimate daughter or legitimate daughter. Can't remember which way around it was.
No, I think it was
She
legitimate.
yes,
Anyway, Lord Byron's daughter.
straight. Her parents were estranged. I think she was definitely estranged from her
Bad.
father.
Mm.
She had a house near where I go camping every year, and I'm desperate to find it, but it's in a private area that they really don't like people going in,
They're
so
having none of it, are they?
they're having
No.
none of it. So
No.
I can't go and see it, but I really would like to. I really, really, really would like to. It was a hotel at one point. I had down. She was a big thinker.
She was.
She had a big
Numbers
brain.
and shit. Numbers
Um,
and science and
and
computing.
she is commemorated with her own day. Ada Lovelace Day is celebrated annually on the second Tuesday in November. And it's used to celebrate and raise awareness of women in STEM, which is obviously science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. She's inspired numerous schools, street names. Again, somebody who's, I mean, so her work, when you think about it, she has not seen, how far did computing get? I mean, before.
Well, it moves like lightning, doesn't it?
Before she
Development of it
died, what
now.
would she have seen of that in, I don't know, in action? So another person who's contributed
Enormous
hugely.
legacy. Yeah, enormous legacy.
Okay, well, so we've got our last two now, because I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired.
Well, we've spoken a bit about Alfred and his grapes and Edward Jenner and
Alfred
his
and his
black
grapes.
smallpox, haven't we?
Yeah,
Like I
so
said,
Alfred and his grapes.
if you sit up straight, Philippa, if you sit up really straight and then get about there, you look like you've got antlers.
Oh, with my Santas.
It's very festive.
It's
I
not very
like it.
festive. I've got fairy lights up, which you can't really see because I've got all the lights on, and Santas dancing across my pictures. And I've
your
got some stars.
854 advent calendars.
I have 9 advent.
10.
It might be 9. It could be 10. So I have 2 of those. Oh, you can't see. 2 of them are in here.
She
And
does it on purpose.
others are various.
Shame.
I just like them. I have no chocolate one though. I've missed out on having chocolate one this year.
Shame on your entire family.
I know. Do I have to buy? I have to buy it myself. Clearly, I have to buy one myself.
I got one with liqueur chocolates in it.
With liqueur chocolates, is that what you have for breakfast?
No,
It is.
because I'm still fasting, so I normally have it around lunchtime with my lunch. They're shaped like little bottles of spirit.
It's still your breakfast. You've just had it at 12.
Look, if
Oh,
you
I like
want
it. I'm all
to
for it.
like
That's fine.
that, I suppose you could do.
You're breaking your fast, literally, because you're fasting.
But then I don't. You could argue that I'm not having to. Anyway, I don't know. It's nice. So
I'm not judging. Sounds fine to me. Sounds great. It sounds Alfred the Great. And then
yes.
yeah. So the
There
double
we
header,
go. But
Alfred.
they were all like nice. We liked all of them really. They had a couple of them had their ups and downs a bit, and obviously we had a few guests who came forward with their candidates and made some really good arguments for those people as well. I'm now absolutely, after Gareth Benjamin Streeter came down to him, it's absolutely in love with Richard II.
No, you can't be. I've just finished. I mean,
I'm challenging his inner psychological bastard.
I have to say, I would love to interview Helen Castor about her book. I've just finished it, The Eagle.
That That
the
one.
Eagle and the Heart, or the Heart and the Eagle. Which way round is it? I've been listening to it on Audible. And
I think I'm going to have to audible it.
I was trying to think of, well, as I'm reading, I'm thinking of questions that I would ask. But the amount of times I just found myself thinking, Dick. Like, I mean, his name's Richard, but like literally, like,
Is
what
he?
an
Are we
idiot.
doing it for book club?
No, it didn't get
Oh.
there in book
I'll
club,
have
actually.
to audible it, won't I?
But it's very, very worth a read. We're doing Henry
Mm.
V, Dan Jones's book.
Yes, I've got
So
that one, but I haven't read it
I
yet. I'm
would
going to wait
recommend
till.
I would recommend anyone who wants to read about that period, Helen Carr's John of Gaunt book, Helen Carr's The Heart and the Eagle, Dan Jones's Henry V, and alongside that, I would go for Nathan Armin's Son of Prophecy.
Oh yes.
Well, because Owen Glendower, who is a big feature in Nathan's book, comes up a lot in both Helen and definitely Helen's book and maybe Dan's book. Must do. Definitely Helen's book anyway. So anyway, there you go. A bit of an aside. If you want to know about Alfred the Great, Mark Morris has got a great book on the Anglo-Saxons, as has Geoffrey Hindley. And we did. He was, I think, he's our only double header, wasn't he? He's the only one we've done two episodes on. Yeah, and then we must just make mention of our winner again, Edward Jenner.
Without whom you may have smallpox,
which you really didn't want.
or many other diseases.
Yeah, the pioneer of the vaccination. So,
and seemed like a dead nice chap as well.
His statue is in Gloucester Cathedral, which I love going to. I love going to Gloucester. He lived in a place called Berkeley in Gloucestershire, which I worked in Berkeley for a while, but I worked at the nuclear power station.
Not quite the same.
No, wasn't as pleasant.
Oh, you're a bit radioactive. Probably. I don't like nuclear power. I don't trust it.
No, it's a lot better now. It's fine now. I mean, this is a reactor that was probably built in the 60s and was already decommissioned in the 90s. So, but anyway, it was bleak. It was more the area I didn't like. But anyway, the castle, the actual the where the nuclear power station was is different to the little village, which is Berkeley. Berkeley itself is cute, and it's got the castle, which I mean, it wasn't the favourite of Edward II. That's where he was, or smothered, probably.
Have I been to Berkeley Castle?
I don't know,
darling. Oh no, I know why I remember Berkeley Castle.
Because it was in a rhyme.
No, it was something to do with one of the tours.
Oh yes, we took a tour. I've taken a tour there a couple of times. Yeah. But yes, anyway, so by the by. But yeah, so I visited Edward Jenner's home. And there's a little hut in his back garden where he would administer vaccinations to people for free.
For poor people. For free.
Poor people. Most people were unable
that's
to.
True. So everyone pretty much.
Yeah. So he did it.
He seemed like a nice person as well. We couldn't really find bad things to say about him, could we?
Nice person, did good things. So he was our history hero for 2024. So there you are. Right.
So yeah, and a lot nicer than the bishops of Winchester, who were crowned chief gits.
Were they the chief ones? I thought Henry VIII was. God, I don't know.
No, he was him. It was he and John were tied and close behind, if I recall.
We've put the bishops there. Awesome. Right. Well then, everybody, we'll leave you for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Yes. Please do like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, hit the bell icon and click all so that you get notified when we're going live. Hopefully you get notified when we're going live. It is worth doing that because we're not that hit and miss at the moment, actually. We're managing.
There's just been a lot on, hasn't there, with operations and babies and things.
Babies and operations and tours and illness and all sorts. So also, if you wish, because it will become useful in the future, we promise. You can subscribe to our Substack, which I
You
can't
will
remember the
want
name.
to. You will
Where have
want
I got
to.
it? Because we're going to, oh, here we are. History After Dark Hub.substack.com. And we've called it History After Dark Hub because it will be the hub of our comms, of our communications out. We're going to have a podcast soon. We're going to have more stuff on there. So anyway, get subscribed. Don't worry that we're not putting much out there at the moment because it's all coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
We've got
You
lots to do in
can,
January, haven't we? We've got lots to do.
yes, it's all gonna be fun. You can support us if you would like at buymeacoffee.com/had podcast. That is to go towards our Winnebago fund,
Because
because
they hate me.
basically Kat and me just want to torture Catherine by feeding
I
her
went
tea
to where,
and
right, hang
eating the
on. This is
sandwiches.
where it's a shame we haven't got the comments on. I went to Philippa's house a couple of weeks ago, and as much as it was kind of her, she made me a cup of tea.
I think it's so
Automatic.
so
People make
strange.
tea. And I felt really bad going, sorry, I don't like
So
tea.
I don't drink tea, and I was like, oh yes, I like, but why again?
What's wrong with you? If I
And now
make
I've
her drink
made
it, make her drink it and be normal.
Yeah, now I've made it. Stop being rude.
You could have given me, if you'd have given me some rich tea biscuits.
No, I'm going to give you cucumber sandwiches and watch your face. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. When I saw her eat a cucumber, just a sandwich that had a slice of cucumber, I thought, if you'd have been my child, I'd have smacked your bottom. That's how bad it was.
I might have liked that. I was wearing a big Tudor frock at the time, so you'd have probably been hard pushed to find my bottom
That's
among
true.
that
No,
lot.
wouldn't have worked with it. But yeah,
No,
I couldn't believe it. I thought you were joking. Your
no,
reaction was so extreme. I thought you were
no,
joking. Anyway, so yes,
no.
please do come back next week. Catherine, do you want to say what's happening next week?
Yes, next week is going to be all the fun of the fair because we have a guest. We
You'll
have the
like he
lovely
likes it.
Julian Humphreys with us, and we know I can't pull out. We know you all love Julian because he's really lovely, very intelligent, super funny, and he's playing a game with us called Bad People. Now, I won't go into what Bad People is and spoil the surprise, but we have played Bad People once before. It involved a wheel of monarchs. So if you're prepared to go back, I think it was on here, wasn't it? Not just Instagram.
Do you know, I don't know that I was there for that one because I can't remember it.
You were, because you made the
Oh,
wheel.
was I?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's obviously memorable. So if you can't remember it, I'm pretty sure it is on here because we wouldn't have been able to get the wheel
No, we wouldn't.
on Instagram.
No,
But
we
if
wouldn't. That's
there
right.
is some stuff on Instagram that isn't on here from the good old days. So if you go onto Instagram, it's history.after.dark. But yeah, but Bad People. So yeah, so it's going to be informative, but hilarious and inappropriate, I'm sure.
We're going to load up the wheel with all of our gits and heroes. That's how we're going to do it.
Shall I tell them how it works, as we've told them most of it? No,
No.
you can
Yeah.
wait. Come on, the element of surprise, people. The element of surprise. But yeah, it's very entertaining. It's very interesting. We've brought inappropriateness to history, which seems quite fitting, doesn't it?
Human beings are inappropriate. So
And Julian is the perfect companion
isn't
to
he?
such shenanigans. Yeah. And then
Indeed.
there's only one more after that, and then it's the C word.
Yeah.
Not that C word.
Some people might find it more offensive.
They do. Some people definitely find it more offensive than the C word.
It depends how prepared you are.
I'm doing quite well this year, except obviously I wrapped it and forgot to bring it.
Yeah, I've given you your present. You haven't given me mine.
I know. It's quite bad. I was so pissed off with myself that for once in my life, I was actually organised. I bought it already and forgot to take it to Philippa's. I'm driving up to your house, mate. I am during Christmas and New Year.
I'll make you a cup of tea, and
I might leave it then.
Right, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back same time next week, so 8:15 UK time next Wednesday. Us, Kat will be back because hopefully she'll be feeling well. She'll be much better than she is now.
She'll
But
be
hopefully
out
she'll
of
be
sex
fully.
dungeon.
Yeah, she'll be out of a sex dungeon, and Julian will
Well,
be joining us. So
yeah.
it'll be fun. All right, everyone, take care, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.